of almost 70 members of Congress already from all across the country. Secretary Noem has brought her reign of terror to the Chicagoland area, LA, New Orleans, Charlotte, Durham, and communities north to south to east to west. You'll hear from some of those communities, Minnesota and Portland. She needs to be held accountable for her actions. This is why I introduced 3 articles of impeachment against Secretary Noem. Number 1, obstruction of Congress. Secretary Noem has denied me and other members of Congress oversight of ICE detention facilities. I was denied access to the ICE facility in Broadview despite following Secretary Noem's unlawful 7-day notice requirement. It is our constitutional duty to find out what's happening in these centers where inhumane conditions continue to be reported. Number 2, violation of public trust. Secretary Noem directed DHS agents to arrest people without warrants, use tear gas against citizens, and ignore due process. She claims she's taking murderers and rapists off our streets, but none of the 614 people arrested during Operation Midway Blitz in Chicago have been charged or convicted of murder or rape. Federal agents repelled from Black Hawk helicopters and burst through an apartment in the South Shore of Chicago. That was in my district. They dragged people, U.S. citizens and immigrants alike, out of bed in the middle of the night. Number 3 is self-dealing. Secretary Noem has abused her power for personal benefit. She steered a federal contract to a new firm run by a friend. Her propaganda campaign to recruit ICE agents cost taxpayers $200 million. She made a video that turned the South Shore raid into something that looked like a movie trailer. But make no mistake, this is not a movie. This is real life, and real people are being hurt and killed. Renee Nicole Good is dead because Secretary Noem allowed her DHS agents to run amok. Families are forever torn apart. This is not about personalities or trivial disagreements. Secretary Noem has called my impeachment efforts silly. I want to tell her right now, Secretary Noem, you have violated your oath of office, and there will be consequences. I am watching you. Members of Congress are watching you. The American people, most importantly, are watching you. And most of all, we are not liking what we're seeing. If you believe impeachment is silly, then you are not taking your job or our Constitution seriously. Now it's my honor to introduce Congressman Adriano Espaillat from New York's 13th District and chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Congresswoman Robin Kelly. I am proud to join you in introducing these articles of impeachment against Secretary Noem, who have clearly violated the law and the trust of the American people. 32 people died under DHS custody in 2025, and already 4 people have died in 2026, along widespread reports of sexual abuse, medical neglect, and inhumane conditions. All of this enabled by a broken system. But most importantly, our eyes do not defy us. Our eyes did not lie to us. We see, as the rest of the world has seen, have women are being violently pulled out of their cars and assaulted in front of the American people and in front of the eyes of the world. How a woman was shot in the face as America watched on TV and as the rest of the world watched of this heinous murder. We've seen how not only immigrants, but green card holders, TPS recipients, farm workers, and even American citizens are being stopped illegally, cuffed, detained, and in some cases arrested and deported. I went to Monterrey, Mexico, where I met with 4 children, U.S.-born children, American citizens, that were sent to Mexico with their parents, including a young girl with a chronic cancer condition in her brain that needed immediate medical attention in a hospital in Houston, Texas. So this is a human rights violation, a blatant human rights violation. This is only seen in aggressive dictatorships across the world. And so that's what we have. This is the Trump dictatorship. Do you think that a dictatorship knocks on your door and gives you a dozen roses when you open it? A dictatorship takes away your rights, your fundamental rights. It creeps up behind you and it assaults you. Eventually, it knocks on your door and shoots you. This is what's happening in America today. And so that's why it is important to hold the secretary accountable. This is enshrined in our laws and our Constitution. We must exercise our oversight powers. Congresswoman Velasquez and I went to 26 Federal Plaza, where we were denied entry to an ICE building. Subsequently, we went to court, and we had a favorable decision by that court to allow us to exercise our oversight powers. And just recently, Secretary Noem again placed another 7-day notice so they can prepare themselves and hide the truth before we get there. When we got there, they were mopping the floors. They were cleaning up. They didn't want us to see the dirty conditions. 30 men in a room with 2 toilets, one of them broken. A woman right across in another cell that could see each other. No confidentiality at all. This is inhumane and warrants an impeachment proceeding. Esto es inhumano. Y sí merece un proceso de destitución. Por eso estoy aquí con la congresista Kelly para unirnos a este proceso que lo garantiza la Constitución de los Estados Unidos. Gracias. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
And now allow me please to introduce Congresswoman Maxine Dexter from Oregon's 3rd District.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you to Representative Robin Kelly for meeting this moment with action and moral clarity. I am Congresswoman Maxine Dexter. I'm a mother, a physician, and the honored representative for Oregon's 3rd Congressional District. Last week, ICE murdered Renee Nicole Good in Minneapolis. The very next day, federal agents shot 2 people in East Portland in my district. These are not isolated events. This is part of a pattern of abuse by brazen, militarized federal agents who act without fear of being held accountable to the law. People are being disappeared. People are being assaulted. And now people are being murdered. And when our children and grandchildren ask what we did, when our neighbors were being targeted, I cannot sleep unless I can say every single thing we could. That is why I'm helping introduce articles of impeachment to remove Kristi Noem from office. We've all seen her crimes play out right before our very eyes. She's willfully obstructed congressional oversight, denying members, as you have heard, of Congress to facilities they have a legal right to conduct oversight at. She's clearly violated public trust with her warrantless arrests, the use of violent force against U.S. citizens, including detaining 4 U.S. citizen children from my district and being held in a windowless cell at the border near Canada for weeks. And Kristi Noem has misused her position for personal gain while inappropriately using $200 million, taxpayer dollars, to fund an ad campaign to bring in ICE recruitment. These are not the best of the best folks that she's looking for. She is looking for people who are willing to invoke her lawless charade. I'm going to use every opportunity to implore my colleagues across this institution to wake up and join this effort, because protecting communities from unaccountable power isn't optional. That is our duty. Courage is contagious. And with that, I'm honored to yield to one of the most courageous among us, Representative Nydia Velasquez.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And to all my colleagues here and to Robin Kelly, thank you so much for this action. When the president was running for office, for president, he made a pledge to the American people that he will be the no wars president. And yet, he is invading sovereign countries like Venezuela, also sending a message to Cuba, Mexico, Iran, and in our own streets of America, he's launched war against American citizens. So let's get straight to the point. We are here today because the Department of Homeland Security has been turned into a weapon of political revenge. This agency thinks it's above the law. Kristi Noem has treated the Constitution like a suggestion and our communities like a battlefield. I have represented the people of New York for over 30 years. I have seen a lot of presidents, but I have never seen an administration use federal agencies to explicitly punish cities just because they didn't vote for them. That is exactly what Donald Trump is doing, and Kristi Noem is his willing executioner. In my city, ICE is no longer a law enforcement agency. It's a rogue operation. Masked agents are abducting high school students from their neighborhoods. They are snatching fathers and mothers outside our immigration courts during routine checks, turning places of justice into traps. Even this week, they detained a city council staffer who is here in New York legally. This agency is completely out of control. Every time you see an ICE officer interacting with Americans now, they are screaming, cursing, and smashing windows to pull people out of their cars. It is the Wild West out there. And I guess that is why Kristi Noem loves wearing that cowboy hat. The difference is, Ms. Noem, this is not a show. Lives are on the line. When she bragged about shooting her own dog, she wasn't just telling a story. She was showing us her character and how she might run a government agency. When you give untrained individuals a badge and set them loose, Americans are going to get hurt. Just like we saw last week in the tragic killing of Renee Nicole Good. And what was Kristi Noem's response? Did she demand an investigation? No, she went on national television and smeared a dead American as a domestic terrorist. The articles we are filing today lay it all out. The obstruction of Congress, the violation of the public trust, and the self-dealing. While her agents are out there shooting citizens, Noem is busy funneling hundreds of millions in taxpayers' dollars to her friends at agencies through emergency contracts. Kristi Noem has betrayed her oath, she has betrayed the Constitution, and she has betrayed the American people. Quiero decirle que estamos aquí con estos artículos para procesar a la secretaria de Homeland Security, una persona que no es digna de la confianza del pueblo americano, está violando la Constitución, no tiene la capacidad de sentir de tener ningún sentimiento sobre justicia y mucho menos respetar el proceso legal de todas las personas que se encuentran en los Estados Unidos. Por esta y otras razones, estamos hoy aquí para traer justicia a las familias, no solamente de Nicole, pero todas las familias inmigrantes que están viviendo aterrorizadas. Aquí, en esta nación, que tiene la Estatua de la Libertad, que se supone que sea the beacon of hope. Gracias.
Thank you so much to my colleagues from East Coast to Hawaii for standing with me today. And now I'll open it up for questions. Oh,
Yeah, if I can just ask, obviously, you have many members here. I think you said there's 70 people who have signed on.
close to 70.
Does Leader Jeffries support this effort?
You'll have to ask Leader Jeffries, but I would not be standing here if I was told not to do it. You know, if there was some,
You've spoken to him directly about this?
yeah, our staffs have spoken.
It was 50 just some time ago. It's 70 today. Do you anticipate that the majority of the caucus will eventually sign on to this effort?
Yeah, I expect more to sign on. That's what we're doing now, trying to build more sponsors of the legislation. I mean, people joined on quickly. You know, when I put it out there, people contacted me almost immediately, and it's been growing and growing and growing as people find out about it.
And just to follow up to that, have you encountered any resistance from Democrats?
Not really. You know, I can't say there's all different kind of people. If you look at who signed up, you know, in all different caucuses, as you see right here, you know, there's many different people that have signed on. So, you know, not really.
I wanted to ask, why do you think so many folks have signed on? There are a lot of proposals around reining in ICE, reining in DHS. Why do you think that impeaching the secretary is something that has rallied so many members of the caucus towards the effort that you're pursuing?
I just feel like enough is enough. We've been working on this for a little while. This wasn't just a, you know, a knee-jerk reaction because, of course, they've been in Chicago, you know, for so very long. And I know other colleagues are working on other parts, and I believe that people will join, you know, with those colleagues too. But I just think that people are sick of it, and anyone can answer the question because they've signed on. So I don't know.
I could add that public sentiment is everything. We are watching the polls. The American people are upset. They didn't sign on for this. The most fundamental principle and value for the American people is fairness.
While everybody is vulnerable, I can attest to the fact that the Latino community, as chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, has been disproportionately targeted to the degree that even in Minnesota, where there's a clear intent to go after the Somalian community, the vast majority of the people arrested are Latino men. For that reason, I will be going Friday to Minnesota, as I went to Chicago for the shadow hearing there. Para que todos sepan, la comunidad latina está desproporcionadamente afectada por este asalto. En Minnesota, la gran mayoría de personas que son arrestadas son hombres latinos. En Chicago, también la gran mayoría de personas arrestadas son latinos. In Nueva Orleans, in New Orleans, the people targeted are workers from Honduras that went to New Orleans to rebuild the city after Katrina. So this is a hit job against Latino communities. And let me tell you, people are regretting, many folks are regretting their last vote and turning around. And so I would like to stress that because I think that's an important factor.
Well, I can just speak to my constituents in Minnesota. We are being terrorized by Homeland Security and ICE and Secretary Kristi Noem's orders in the state of Minnesota right now. And let me be clear. I'm from a swing district in Minnesota. I have been one of the most bipartisan members of Congress that you will find in the Congress. This has crossed a line. Minnesotans, we want safe and secure borders. We want violent criminals to not be in our community, but this is not what we signed up for. This rogue agency is violating the rights of immigrants. It is violating the rights of American citizens in our communities. And last Wednesday, the violation of those rights, the escalation by ICE in our communities, got Renee Good killed. And now this administration is going after her widow and going after her and 6 U.S. attorneys who, by the way, are patriots in Minnesota at the U.S. Attorney's Office had said, no, we are not this. This is not who we are as Minnesotans. This is not who we are as Americans. And so I believe you will continue to see members of Congress from across the ideological spectrum stand up, speak out, because we know the difference between right and wrong, and Americans can see with their own eyes that what's happening in Minnesota and in Illinois and most possibly coming to New York is just plain wrong.
May I say something? Americans across this country have been protesting what they see with their own eyes and the lies that they're told, which are belied by the things that they're seeing. What they're out there protesting, and they expect Congress to use every tool that we have to push back, to hold accountable, and to show the American people that we are fighting for this democracy, for constitutional laws, and for treatment and respect of all of our communities. So that happens to be a time when you had the horrible situation in Minnesota. We've had the horrible situation in other cities. This particular resolution comes just at a time when enough is enough is enough. And people are looking to us to do everything we can to show that we have responsibility in this space.
Also, I wanted to say that I've gotten phone calls, and I know my colleagues have too, from constituents, but from people from across this country. People I do not represent, people in different states encouraging what we're, trying to do. The other thing is, you asked me about Leader Jeffries, that we have concentrated so much on, the cost, affordability, and health care, and I never want to detract from that. But when you think about it, and we work with many different people and committees, but this is affecting people's health care. This is affecting affordability. When I think about Chicago and people afraid to go to work, when I think about restaurants that don't have as many people coming to eat there, when I've heard stories about people afraid to go to the doctor, afraid to take care of their health because they're afraid to come outside. I had a town hall meeting in a grocery store, and people told me stories how they're just simply afraid to go outside, whether it's shopping, whether it's going to work, whether it's going to healthcare, to their healthcare needs. So this is affecting, it's widespread. It's widespread. I'm not good at this, so.
When you think about impeachment, obviously there's a numbers game that's involved with that. If you put the merits of your resolution aside and think about just that numbers game of getting passage in the House and conviction in the Senate, is this more about sending a political message right now or previewing the playbook for Democrats should you take back the majority? Or what's sort of the impetus? Is it just striking the moment with current events?
For me, and others can answer, it was like Congresswoman Bonnie Watson-Coleman said, enough was enough, and I just feel like we need to use every tool in our toolbox. If we do nothing, nothing will happen. And so just really now trying to build on momentum, getting as many people signed on as possible. That's the first step.
If I can just add, we cannot be cynical at this moment. We have to stand up for our country, and if we are cynical that nobody's going to join or we're not going to get it passed, nothing happens. And we proved that with the ACA extended premium, or the tax credit extension. People thought that there was no way that we would pass that in the House, and we have to continue to message what's right. The American people can see what's happening is wrong. They want us to act. I had a town hall in less than 24 hours where standing perpetual applause for impeaching Kristi Noem. Like, the people want us to do something, and that's our job.
You talk about using every tool in the toolbox. If this effort does not gain enough momentum, what other options are House Democrats considering? There's been a lot of talk of defunding ICE through the appropriations process, also abolishing ICE. What options are on the table?
Well, actually, I think at this point, all options are on the table. We just have to see, what's going to work, and we have to have, more discussion around it. But yes, I've heard conversation around that too. But those are all tools in the toolbox that we have to look to. I'm hoping, maybe I'm an optimist, but I'm hoping against hope that when she sees, as people have talked about, the momentum, the public, the polls that are so much against what she's doing, that she will realize that she's a public servant and that she's serving the American people, and the American people do not like what she's doing or what they're seeing.
Il y a un groupe parlementaire démocrate qui présente tête yo avec l'idée que yo gagné, que yo share avec la communauté et y a pu répondre aux questions ensemble journalistes qui présent dans enceinte là. Dossier immigration ça qui présenté par le groupe parlementaire poussé nous pour nous aller avec quelques informations que nous te compté baou. N'a faut qu'on ait un soulèvement en d'un pays contre immigrants yo dit qui sorti dans pays étranger ou bien qui vivent de manière illégale ici aux États-Unis d'Amérique. Actuel chef d'État américain Donald Trump, il a commencé une campagne côté que il a annoncé qu'il pral faire plus gros massive déportation qui pas jamais gagné en dedans pays depuis année 1908 yo. L'actuel chef d'État qui était dans campagne, il promet partisans lui dans toute activité campagne, il pral débarrasser pays de une quantité moun la débarrasser par milliers et même millions puisque ce Joe Biden il dit et en peu le monde dit li te gain plus passé 20 millions de citoyens qui entrent dans le pays de manière illégale. Il dit que citoyens ça c'est moun qui malade de tête, c'est moun qui fou, c'est des criminels qui sont en prison, c'est des malades mentaux, c'est des gangsters, cardiaques, kidnappeurs que particulièrement pays Venezuela livré bayo mais pays qui plus pauvre dans zone Amérique du Sud là ensemble avec Caraïbes là. Cependant, des moun t'a analysé qui fait comprendre que avec data que yo gagné, il dit que immigrants qui a travaillé ici aux États-Unis dans l'année 2022 moun sa yo payé 97 billions de dollars. OK? Immigrants qui a travaillé ici yo payé dans l'année 2022 s'il vous plaît 97 billions de dollars. Chiffre qui sorti dans le trésor américain. Cependant, moun sa yo pas de médicaments pour yo pas de social sécurité pour yo. Les yo pas travail, yo pas obligé, yo pas capable aller dans social pour dire que yo pas travail. Non plus pour participer dans welfare programme que l'État mettait sur pied pour aider yo. Aider moun alors en dans pays ya. Pas de food stamp pour moun sa aller pour médicaments. Médicaments ou bien social sécurité il pas exister pour yo. Donc financement que illégaux ça yo moun sa que yo dit ki illégaux poté en dedans pays les États-Unis l'Irivia comme nous disons 97 billions de dollars sorti premier pour arriver 10 novembre gagné en dedans chambre député qui yo même utilisé yon projet côté que il fait comprendre que citoyens ça yo payé 900 billions de dollars dans le cadre l'argent qui utilisé pour réduire déficit budgétaire, déficit l'État américain, dette que l'État américain gagne 900 billion de dollars. N'a faut connaître que pour l'année 2025 là, le fait que ce deal là encore nous renforcer, il y a 32 citoyens qui mourent en bas main groupe AIS. Pour l'année 2026 là, année 2026 là, il est arrivé 4 comme ça. Pas gagné, si pas gagné, t'as dit un mandat judiciaire, c'est un juge qui signe li, eh bien, ou même ou gain droit pour être silence la caillou, si toutes les fois que il y a un poteau ou bien barrière qui frappe, il est regardé où est c'est agent est-ce qu'il a dedans. Ou capable dire, officer, I do not give you any consent without a right to search my car, my house, or my backyard. ICE form, it's not a right when an agent ICE come to your house, knock at the door, asking you to open the door. You don't have to do that. Do not sign any piece of paper. Do not run in front of them. Do not argue with them either. Ou qu'à toujours rester silence. Et si toutes les fois, tu as forcé, ouvrir votre machine, call 911, ou bien demander membre AIS pour lui relayer la police, parce que il pas un agent policier, si pendant dans la rue, dans la machine, il t'a arrêté, c'est un trafic, c'est un mouvement de trafic, c'est une question de sécurité. Nous parlons toujours de la question immigration avec Borzan. On a parlé de Tom Hammond qui pourra prendre la parole là en entendant.
Is going after
There's a
in
lot
this
of murders.
country.
I just don't have that number with me.
Seems to keep growing all the time. What do you think is a more realistic number of how many murderers?
I'm not
are
saying the
loose in this
president isn't
country?
realistic. I don't have those numbers in front of me.
There are hundreds of thousands of people on the loose who committed murders in the U.S.
I think we arrest a lot of murderers, and I don't have a number, and I'm not going to comment on President Comics. I don't have that data in front of me.
Mr. Homan, with the defunding of sanctuary jurisdictions, could you say anything about what funds are going to be pulled back and which are not? And can you also describe your relationship with Mayor Mamdani versus Eric Adams?
First of all, I don't think decisions have been made yet about specific funds, but I support pulling federal funds away from cities that release public safety threats in their communities. You're out working with us. It's sanctuary cities are sanctuary for criminals. I have not met with the mayor of New York City. I did meet with the prior mayor, Eric Adams, because he asked for a meeting. So we'll see what happens. I have not met with Mamdani. The only time I've ever seen him is up in Albany, New York, before he ran for mayor, and he was screaming and yelling and pushing his way through state police to try to get a moment with me. But I was too busy eating my apple and ignoring him.
Mr. Homan, when it comes to Minneapolis, we're seeing images like yesterday of a woman who was stopped by federal agents. She was dragged out of her car. I know DHS always has a response to this as to why they're acting that way. There are Americans who see this and say this looks like Putin's Russia. What is your
That's ridiculous. You know what? In Minneapolis, let's remember who set the stage here. First of all, the Biden administration let millions of people release millions of illegal aliens in this country in violation of the law. Many of them criminals because they weren't properly vetted. We're arresting thousands of them. So first of all, they created the problem with millions of illegal alien criminals in this country. Second of all, Minneapolis, they're a sanctuary city. You know, if they'd let us in their damn jail and stop being a sanctuary city, we could arrest the bad guy in the safety and security of a jail. But because they normally release them, now we got to go in the community and find them. Then they're mad we're in the community. President Trump made us promise to American people we're going to find these criminals and make this America safe again. So if they don't let us in a jail, we're going to go in the community. And the difference is, in places that's not a sanctuary, one agent can walk into a jail and arrest one criminal illegal alien. But when you release them in the community, now we got to send the whole team because we got to arrest somebody on their turf. They have access, who knows what weapons. It makes it dangerous for the officer, makes it dangerous for the alien, certainly makes it dangerous for the community. So if Minneapolis wants to help, like I saw Mayor Frey do an interview this morning, let us in your damn jail. What's the downside of letting a federal law enforcement officer with immigration authority talk to an illegal alien that you already locked up and put in a jail cell? It's ridiculous that they're pushing back on that.
Mr. Homan, when it comes to some of the ICE agents that are going door to door in places places like Minneapolis. I'm just curious how you square some of those going into these homes with the Fourth Amendment search and seizure. Yeah, how do you square those two things, and is there any potential violation of Fourth Amendment with some of these ICE agents' activities going into some?
If any ICE agent, Border Patrol violates policy, they're allowed to be held accountable. But we got to remember that, you know, there's a lot of confusion out there, difference between reasonable suspicions and probable cause. If an officer gathers reasonable suspicion from a myriad of circumstances, a bunch of factors, they can temporarily detain and question somebody on an immigration interview. In order to arrest that person, you got to establish probable cause. I can't sit here and pull out case by case. I think the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol are doing a difficult job in a very unfriendly area where law enforcement response for emergency response is sporadic at best. Death threats are up over 8,000%. Actual assaults up 1,300%. I know because threats against me and my family have tripled in the last couple of weeks. They got a dangerous job to do. Again, let us in the jail to arrest a public safety threat. Because I said this 1,000 times, when you force us in the community to find the public safety threat, many times they're with others, or we find others in the process of doing that. If we find them, they're in the country illegally, they're getting arrested too. So more officers in the street means more collateral arrests. We have promised American people we're going to force immigration. Let me tell you why we have the most secure border in the history of this nation today. Part of it is because of what ICE is doing. We have shown the whole world there are consequences to enter this country illegally. We're not going to send a message, cross the border illegally, it's a crime, don't worry about it, get order removed, don't worry about it. Unless you committed another crime, no one's looking for you. If that's the message we send, you're never going to fix this problem. We send a strong message, and that's why we have the most secure border in the history of the nation. And President Trump, by doing that, is saving thousands of lives. We know that women and children aren't making that dangerous journey. We know that no one's drowning in the river today. We know fentanyl isn't coming across at the levels it came to Joe Biden. We certainly know no inspected terrorists aren't coming across like Joe Biden. We're doing the right thing. We're going to keep with it, and they can protest all they want. We're just going to double down and enforce the law. And I said for months, we're going to surge resources in sanctuary cities because that's where the problem is. We know they're releasing public safety threats. We're going to send the agents where we know the biggest problem is.
Voilà, c'est Tom Hammond qui c'est lui-même responsable sécurité sous frontière là. Il bon les arts, monsieur, lui persister et signer administration a pu continuer dans le travail que l'a fait. Il pas répondre à une question concernant Dame Sarah. Il dit que c'est une femme enceinte qui est arrivée perdue petit là que monsieur agent Aïssio tapé drag comme si il tape traîné. Eh bien, gagné un jeune garçon qui est sous tête li 17 l'année. Monsieur yo arrêté li même là que il t'a crié, li c'est un citizen américain. Yo vinn prouver par la suite que monsieur son citizen américain, yo arrêté yo la gueule puis devant. Après yo mené machine bali également à une distance par rapport à côté que le était. Luis Esco ensemble avec petit li Alex yo entré dans un restaurant que yo gagné non yo arrivé arrêté yo alors monsieur vinn gen problème monsieur dit li pas comprendre ça qu'a passé a li obligé à côté autorité compétente yo pour poser aux questions pour le capable joindre aide parce qu'on y a là li peut même pour aller dans business parent aller ouais pour le ta sorti après incident qui causait la mort Nicole Goodlon yo vinn ouais qu'on y a là gen pile citoyen américain qui obligé marcher avec passeport yo nommé yo. C'est pour raison ça, avocat qui occupe de questions immigration, ba conseil que nous pral ba ou là. Sorti avec une copie document que ou gagné document qui légal. Passeport, green card, toujours gen licence sous et quitter une copie document ça yo nan un droit qui sécurisé mais qui facile pour famille ta capable joindre si ou de ou bien original yo. Si vous sorti avec original yo, fait sûr que vous gagnez une copie qui était la carte ou bien si vous sorti avec copie yo qui était original yo mais pas qui était original licence ou particulièrement vous faites pour gagner licence ou ensemble avec vous pour sortir et puis kembe reste document yo non en droit qui safe mais facile pour famille qui la caillou capable joindre si toutes les fois et que ou même ou gain besoin. Yo dit tout, je ne dis et yon moun ou gen droit pour rester la caillou pendant que rester la caillou ou ta wè même aïsio vinn frapper n'importe où ou garder silence ou pas dire mot ou pas répondre question ou pas fait échange ensemble avec eux. Seulement, ou dit, officer, I'm in my house to have right to remain silent. Ask pour quel que soit papier que vous avez dans le qui signé par un juge pour le déposer dans une fenêtre ou bien en bas porte la carte pour capable prendre. Mandez-vous, est-ce que vous avez papier qui signé par un juge qui gagne adresse ou qui gagne nom là-dedans. You have right to keep your door closed ou gagne droit pour quitter porte fermée même si agent ISO a demandé pour ouvrir. Ou qu'à parler avec un nice tout si on pas besoin excité ou pas besoin fâché ensemble avec eux tout coup ou n'a compte ensemble avec eux pas bayo opportunité ça non plus ou pas obligé ouvrir porte ou bayo si vous avez forcé tant que vous fait déjà pour ouvrir porte la caillou call 911 relais la police et puis et demander tout par exemple ou qu'à poser question mais I been detained OK ou qu'à aller plus loin pour dire am I suspect of any crime? Ou continuez à poser question. There's any reason to hold me? Ça, c'est question ou capable de poser. Donc, les ça, ou pas obligé d'aller faire échange ensemble avec eux, ou poser ensemble de questions ça. Si vous pas répondre, eh bien, ou quitter pour tout fermer. Show me a judicial warrant. There's a probable cause for me. OK? Donc, ou qu'a évoquer également tout ça qui fait partie du 4e amendement constitution américaine. I do not consent to talk to you or anyone else. OK? Donc, nous disons ça pour comprendre que, je ne dis pas, situation est difficile en pile. Parce que ça qui a passé là, eh bien, moun pas capable d'expliquer. Il faut qu'on ait, dans le cas Nicole Goodlaw, eh bien, gagné là, 6 prosécuteurs fédéraux qui ont même décidé qu'elles ont quitté ça, ils n'ont pas entendu travail avec l'administration dans le dossier là. Mais, tenez-nous, il y a des gens qui ont supporté question déporter moun qui entraient ici de manière illégale. Nous parlons de, par exemple, Luis Escoto, monsieur qui gagne un restaurant, eh bien, lui-même qui venu citoyen américain depuis 1992, madame Nelly fait, il sorti dans la cour New Mexico. C'est pas Mexico, non, c'est New Mexico, territoire américain. Il gagne un restaurant dans Saint Paul, c'est West Saint Paul Restaurant, c'est là qu'il gagne, eh bien, c'est là qu'il arrive à arrêter madame, monsieur, lui-même qui n'est pas content du tout avec ça qui passe. Comme nous disons, petit garçon, il est même obligé d'aller dans le bureau 46 maintenant pour demander aide, pour demander support, parce que monsieur a un problème par rapport à ça qui a passé à l'art. Et puis, bon, dit que Elon Musk, nous voyons qui venait une année qui plus riche dans le monde là. Monsieur est entré ici aux États-Unis avec intention pour aller dans Stanford University parce qu'il était qualifié pour un programme comme ça. Est-ce que vous connaissez Elon Musk pas jamais à l'école là? Monsieur est entré directement aux États-Unis côté que il commence à travailler. Il n'a pas jamais enregistré dans Stanford University côté que il était doué à l'école. Après décades, après dizaines d'années, monsieur vient tourner citoyen pays les États-Unis. Monsieur était légal, il est entré dans le pays. Elon Musk, nous connaissons qui c'est plus gros financeur et c'est lui qui a plus l'argent dans la campagne candidat Donald Trump qui vient président, je ne dis. Est-ce que nous connaissons Ted Cruz, qui c'est sénateur Texas là, monsieur pas fait ici aux États-Unis? Il fait dans Calgary, Canada? Est-ce que nous connaissons ça? Alors que l'administration en place là, la couru derrière moun qui fait dans l'autre pays, qui venait citoyen américain. Ted Cruz pensait que le a été sénateur, si Donald Trump a appliqué loi, tout bon vrai. Mais comme il était toujours derrière support Donald Trump, et Donald Trump pas manqué le dégât lui-même à toute famille. Donc, vous arrivez à comprendre, je dis, raison qui fait que lui a pu supporter actuel chef d'État. Toujours dans ça qui est avec une question immigration, il a passé pour aller. On photo du sénateur Conan, qui sortit dans Texas, qui a parlé.
Foreign nationals in the future and some of our conflicts, the bottom line is the non-negotiable demand has to be the American people being able to sleep safe at night, knowing they are safe from criminal aliens and terrorist sympathizers. That's the non-negotiable bottom line. They deserve to know, we all deserve to know, what actions the Biden administration took or did not take that risked their safety. At this afternoon's hearing, we'll give the American people the answers, or at least begin to give them the answers that they and we deserve. Mr. President, I yield the floor, and I would note the absence of a quorum.
Ça, c'est le sénateur qui sorti dans la côte Texas, sénateur Conan, qui était lui-même à parler concernant le dossier immigration avec action que l'administration Donald Trump l'a pu réaliser. Et comme il n'y a pas de quorum dans le Sénat, c'est ça qui fait que monsieur décidé de faire camper sous dossier n'a gagné pour nous partager avec vous beaucoup plus d'informations toujours. Comme nous te promettons, nous travaillons sur ce dossier-ci là pour nous informer de ce qui a passé et que aux mêmes dispositions que vous devez prendre également pour protéger tout la caillou et éviter d'entrer en confrontation avec agents haïtiens ou bien membres de la police. Par exemple, dans le state de Floride, eh bien, qu'il y a policiers, shérifs, state troopers, ils tout autorisé pour mener les background checks sous lorsque ils campé pour infraction en matière de circulation souple. Nous déduisons ça depuis en 20 années à commencer. Prends précaution, leur conduit, prends précaution, leur passer bon l'école, contrôler speed limit ou speedometer, il fait pour toujours en base pour regarder speed que va fait, leur conduit dans la rue en souple. C'est conseil PSTARS, radio et télévision pour nous-mêmes qui branchent dans le moment ça. Parlez loin non, t'as le conseil nous devant tout non. Branchez PSTARS, radio et télévision. Merci tout le monde. Bonne journée déjà.